Are we live?
Yep.
All right. Welcome to the Administrative Committee meeting. It's 1 o'clock on Tuesday, August 4th, and I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that the press and the public have been duly notified of the meeting in accordance with Freedom of Information Act. Everybody's here. Citizens' comments? Don't think we have any. Approval of the previous meeting minutes?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jimmy, you?
If I didn't approve, I'd let you know.
Don't we have to vote?
I think we have to register a vote.
Well, I approve.
Okay. All right. On to old business. Update on human resources manager position.
Yes, so we have had, I think since the last time you all met, we've had two very good candidates interview. Impressed with both. We have made an offer to the first, and there's still a little bit of negotiation happening, but I think that candidate is concerned about kind of work-life balance with the role. So, not to say that it's not going to happen, but we may move on to another candidate. So we're still working.
It's in process.
It's a process. Find Great People is very active on it. They're doing a great job for us. Very pleased with the folks that we have been put in touch with. So not sure that we're there yet, but we're getting close, I think.
Is it helping to have the firm do it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's been very good.
Good. Discussion of director of planning, zoning, job description, building planning, zoning.
So you have an updated job description in your packet for your review. This is 2 generations newer than what was in your last packet. This one actually came from the original draft here came from Evergreen in their work. So we took that product and have added more kind of executive leadership language to it, and also added a preference towards project management skills and civil engineering capability. Not making that a requirement, but in just talking through how we feel like this person could be best used in their role. We thought that those would be key elements to have if we could get them. So still a draft. We wanted to run it through you all before we're kind of at the very earliest stages of this process. So just wanted to be sure that we captured everything that you all thought might be useful. So next steps for us, once we get the job description in a place where we like it, would be to start seeking candidates for the role.
So do you want comments on it?
Sure.
Or do you want us to
Yeah.
send them to you?
I would say if they're
consider it?
high level, just say them. If they're kind of editorial,
Some of them are high level.
okay.
If,
Yeah, let's
if you don't mind.
go
Is that
over
okay?
high level stuff and send us any kind of editorial stuff.
Yeah, and I'll do the editorial. So as I was going through it, and I know you know this, the consistency in the title and the jobs. So the director of building, but then below that is director of building and community standards,
Okay.
and in the packet, which I like, is director of building, planning, and zoning. So that's just but a question down on the essential job functions. So you talked about project management, and that was one that I kind of highlighted, because I think as I read it, it's very, very broad. So I don't know if it would be more development related that, make it a little tighter, because for me, it seems like this would encompass beach, marina, drain. It couldn't encompass anything. Maybe I'm not reading it right. So I'm just thinking it's very
You're talking
broad.
about the project management bullet?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Yeah,
Or-
this specifically, yeah. Yeah, so just, I don't know, just a comment on if you look at that, I don't know if it's way too broad and. Because it seems like it would be all-inclusive and maybe, I don't know, stepping on, toes of assistant city administrator maybe. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, this is where I'm,
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that from my perspective, when I was in that role,
okay?
it was a large part of what I did.
Okay,
And it wasn't every single project, but it was
okay.
most of them. And it was, and I think it just, the skill set of the position and project management seemed to kind of.
Would be
mesh together.
encompassing
So-
for a lot of things.
So I would expect
Okay.
that person, depending on the candidate and what their skill set
Right.
was and how they, but if they're capable of doing it, they do a good job. To me, that would be a huge asset to the team in
Okay.
general. That would free us up to do other things if this person could do that
Okay,
and do a large part of it. So, we would, I think we would adjust accordingly, given, the candidate that we hire.
okay,
But I would hope, I mean, that really would, from my perspective, be a huge asset to the city if it could be that person.
okay. Well, then, so that, given that, when I look back, because this was just another one, under the minimum requirements, so should ideally possess a civil engineering background. So I wasn't marrying, when I looked at should possess a civil engineering, to me then that's not project management and planning, but maybe I'm wrong. You see what I'm saying? So one says we're going to be all encompassing and the other one says, but should be civil engineering. Are they compatible? Is that
Yeah,
is that a compatible statement? Okay.
Yeah, to me, they do kind of go hand in glove.
Okay.
Um,
Does civil engineering, ideally possessing a civil engineering background, is that limiting for us? I'm just, in our candidates, I don't know.
I think that might be a reach. I mean, I do think that we'll see what happens, and we would see what somebody's background
Okay.
would. We may have created a little bit of a unicorn in what we're asking for, and I think we thought in a perfect world it would have civil engineering background, not a civil engineering
No
job,
certifications,
not a
not,
professional engineer or anything like that,
Okay.
but somebody.
That would be helpful education to have.
It would be
Yeah.
helpful. I mean, a lot, and if you just look at what we're doing, it's all, a lot of it is civil engineering. Drainage projects, paving projects, marina green space layout and construction, beach, beach elevations, levels. It's all tying into a civil engineering background.
okay. I guess when I read that the first bullet on the minimum requirement, this is just me, though, I'm not a civil engineer, I'm not, I would think that I would look at that when I'm looking for a job and saying,
I don't
I need
have
a civil
that.
engineering background, I don't have that, so I'm out. I don't know, and
So maybe we put
maybe
that
that
at the
should
end?
be in there, but put it,
Maybe we put that.
yeah, not as
Yeah.
to me,
That
that looks like
being in
the
the beginning, it
primary
looks like-
thing, like,
Okay.
I don't know, that's how I read it.
Yeah, we could move that.
Yeah, I'm not saying take it
That's more,
out,
that's
just,
more of like the skill requirement.
Yeah.
Right.
Skills certification, education, yeah.
right.
So you're
And-
saying not a minimum requirement, but put it in the
Put it
section
somewhere.
below?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Or maybe a minimum requirement, but I would rewrite that, somehow
Okay.
rework that first bullet. I like the bullet, I'm just worried about the civil engineering, would ideally possess a civil engineering background. I don't know.
I think that's a good
I
suggestion.
don't know.
If it's a nice to have and it's the first thing in the minimum requirement.
Yeah, you
that could
kind of
be-
look at it and go, oh.
Yeah. So maybe we move that down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we talked about certifications. I didn't see any minimum requirements for any certifications. I don't know those certifications. My question is more broad than that. Should there be any that you think that any professional certifications would be helpful in this? I don't know.
The industry standard for that job is an AICP certification,
Okay,
but it's a fairly advanced. I think you get it with probably more experience than what's in here is the minimum. We have in roles that are in the zoning world, it's always been a kind of professional developmental goal that we've
okay,
talked about.
I see.
Um,
Okay, so that's something
Yeah,
maybe
I
we
don't-
wouldn't list, but
Yeah,
that's certainly
that would be nice.
working toward
Maybe
it
we would
might
put that
be
also as a nice to
as a
have.
nice to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a requirement.
That's a good comment.
And then the other one was on the comprehensive plan, which, that's perfect
Yeah.
in there. I didn't know if we need to be a little bit more specific. All the other ones had a little more meat to them. And I'm just thinking, I don't know if the comp plan needs more meat, maybe coordinating planning. And, I made this up, boy.
Just
If it's only
oversees
part of
implementation.
oversees implementation of the land use pieces of the comp plan, or, I don't know.
Okay.
But just a little more,
Beef up that bullet.
a little bit more meat on,
Okay.
on what you wanted on that, that's
Okay.
all. And then on the short-term rental regulation, I got the manager's permitting, all that but in a lot of that, I don't know if we need to say something like works in coordination with code enforcement and police.
Compliant,
and
like a compliance.
yeah.
So it's got compliance monitoring.
Yeah, or
but
something,
maybe-
yeah. Maybe
Well,
a
that's in there
component.
now. Short-term rental regulation, manages permitting, compliance monitoring, occupancy limits, and enforcement actions on short-term rental properties.
Yeah. And just a last comment, just a question more than anything, and I know I've seen this all before, this seems like a higher level job when I look at physical demands. I mean, clearly this is boilerplate for
Yes.
every position, is that correct?
Yes.
Kinda,
yes,
sorta.
That was a suggestion from
Okay.
Evergreen.
Okay.
There's nothing unique
Okay.
about that language.
Yeah. That's all I have.
That's good suggestions. This is just maybe more general, Douglas, and I don't know if this is even possible, but this is going to be, I think, one of the executive-type positions in the organization, and I think it goes to all the council. Is this something that maybe we could have, find great people or something, just take a look at the job description
Yeah.
and see, format-wise, the other thing I'm kind of accustomed to seeing in a job description is, the minimum education certification requirement, like a section about that, like minimum bachelor's degree, master's desired, those kinds of things. I think you've got it sprinkled in here, but that's usually kind of a section in the job description. And then on the experience, the question would be, are those levels of experience enough in this current marketplace to satisfy what the job requirement says? And maybe third, again, dimensions, how much revenue is it responsible for compliance, how many licenses, it's like 3,000, 4,000 licenses, anything that's got any quantifiable dimensions in the job description. And my guess is that Find Great People might be able to help you, if they're willing to take a look at it. And then subsequently, I'd like to have the council consider having them help you, find the candidate. And we may have to budget some dollars for that,
Yeah.
or some money for that, but then that gets a whole realm of candidates that you may
Yeah.
not see if we just post this out on Indeed or something.
Yeah, and I mean, frankly, we're being between HR people to some extent, I
Yep.
think it would be very
Right.
helpful to us to kind of have this one, because I think it's going to just fall in that
And it can help the
transition
new HR
period, so,
person, sure.
yeah, so it would-
Yeah.
it would be a help if we could do that.
Yeah.
So Scott, I had find great people review it, add in education minimum requirements, include some metrics, and I think I missed one. Was there one more?
I was just the dimensions. There's a
Dimensions?
usually a
Yeah.
dimensions section when you're describing jobs, like how much revenue you're responsible for,
Yeah.
how many people are you going to be supervising? Because I think this supervises, what, 4 or 5 people? Those kinds of things that sort of scope the job
Okay.
for somebody looking at it. They know how big of an organization, how much am I going to be responsible for? Because I think roughly, I don't know, 20% of the budgeted revenues fall under this job.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion.
Okay.
So, just those kinds of, and yeah, and the minimum experience levels, just
Yep.
take a sniff on that and see what they think. Okay. And we'll get any other, between now and next cycle, we'll get you any comments.
Yeah,
other
Yeah.
comments.
yeah, any other comments?
I think it's written very well.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change a thing about it.
So we'll bring it back next meeting,
Yeah.
have a final review maybe, and then
Keep it on.
go on to council.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, discussion and consideration of the procurement purchasing procedures. Maybe I could just give there were just a couple of changes, I think, from last time, and fairly minor on that. There was that one section, it just, the language got split out into 2, to kind of clarify that. Was based on some suggestions. Let me see if I can get the section on that. It's that 3B, or I'm sorry, B on the exceptions, where there was one, just a 1, just split that out into 1 and 2. So it really kind of said the same, says the same thing, but it split out the whole emergency situation. I don't know if there are any comments on that. And I think we still want to come back to that whole professional services discussion and consulting, but changed the shall to may on the new number 3. And then the only other change from the prior version was an addition at the, it was this section about anything over a 5-year term that we would be committing to would come to council for approval. And there was no time frame prior to that.
And where is that time frame, Scott? Is that,
Let me see.
Page 16 of the packet, section 1-10-8.
Thank you, Sean.
thank you. Oh,
Just added for a period of up to 5 years unless a longer term is determined to be in the best interest of the city by a majority of council.
okay.
See that?
Yep, now I got it. Yep. I have to admit, I didn't get that far. I stayed in 1-10-4 mostly.
Any other discussion or suggestions or anything before we go forward?
Is this for consideration
Yes.
in this one?
I'm confident we'll have more conversation once we get up to Ways and
Yeah,
Means.
yeah, I think we push it up to Ways and Means with that motion to approve.
Second? Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I didn't hear your vote.
Sorry you didn't hear it. I said aye.
You did, okay.
Oh.
Thank you. All right. Update on business license revenue assurance process and procedures. I don't know if there's any update. We've kind of haven't spent a lot of time on this one. I don't know if we really have any updates on it at this point or.
Well, I don't have any I do want to talk about it a little bit. I want to preference by saying, I spoke with the business license department, and they wanted to assure us that just because their reported gross revenues are lower doesn't necessarily mean that someone is not reporting or they're reporting incorrectly. It could just mean that there is less business. So they wanted to make sure that the public was aware of that. But in saying that, we have spoken to other municipalities and to see how they are handling their business license, and one in particular that we would like to benchmark our process after. And we had briefly spoke about this last meeting regarding how we wanted to collect, or the things that we wanted to present to business owners to collect to kind of help us with revenue assurance. And one of those, there's a laundry list of things that we can collect or ask business owners for. But one of the processes that we would like to do, and we just need to, I guess, some guidance on when we want to start this, whether we are starting immediately or waiting until the next business license cycle. But we would like to have the business owners provide us with some kind of document stating what their revenues are. We want to do some testing on large and small businesses, either finding a representative. We did speak to a auditing firm that had done it for another municipality. They did a sample testing on about 22 businesses. This municipality is comparable to Isle of Palms in the fact that they have about 2,300 licenses, standard licenses, where we have about the same amount, but we also have a lot of upgrade fees that are included in our licenses as well. So they said it took them, from the time they got information, it's about, 72 hours of, they give themselves 72 hours to review the information and to solidify the information to make sure that it is what they need and correct information to actually receive a business license. So that is, one of the processes that we want to take. We also, like I said, wanted to do.
Deborah, do you know what kind of documentation they were, I'll just use my own example. So for example, I have a consulting business that I do on part-time, and I'm just a Schedule C-er. I could easily provide some, redact any other pertinent information, but could provide that as documentation. Did they give any examples? I'm sure it would be different for different kinds of companies, and we talked about the IOP revenue versus other.
There's 9 different things that they have on their list, and it's profit and loss statement, federal or state income tax return, 1099 that shows the gross receipts, reports from the company's financial software, I guess, QuickBooks or whatever they use, South Carolina sales tax return, a signed letter from a CPA, notarized letter from a business owner or corporate officer, and then I guess it depends on the type of business, but the VRBO or Airbnb rental revenue reports. So they have a laundry list of things that someone could submit as proof of income.
Could one approach be, and maybe this is something that we take a look at, and where you've got a laundry list of those items that you have, and you could say, depending upon the type of business, 1 or 2 of these, one might be satisfactory, but there's a laundry list of, you've got your choice. And because some businesses will have all of that, some businesses will have 1 or 2 of those, and I think what we're trying to do is do a revenue assurance. We're not trying to burden somebody with too much, overkill on providing We don't want somebody to have to provide that laundry list. That would be unreasonable. But something that's easy, verifiable, and maybe what we can do is provide businesses an option of things that they could provide that, like you said, is benchmarked against other municipalities. Would that be acceptable?
Yes, that's acceptable. So I guess we need to, and I don't know if this is the meeting or when we need to do this, but come up with a timeline of when we want to draw out a structure of all the applicable documents that we want or we want to request, and then determine when that, when we want to put that into play. So the first steps are coming up with a structure, like the benchmarking municipality, coming up with required documents, and then when does the city want to start that? So,
So are these sort of, what I'm hearing is a couple of different buckets, and I think this is great, by the way. You've got the process part of it, which if we can tighten up maybe the beginning process, then your question is, what is that process and when do we implement it? And my take would be, as soon as we get the process approved by council,
Okay.
there's no reason why we couldn't, go on a prospective basis, go forward, require the, if it's a new business license applicant, they will have to, they would be providing that instead of having to wait a whole another year.
yeah.
And then secondarily, so that's the process side of it, which I think would be very, very helpful for us. And then secondarily, you've got the testing and call it the audit or the assurance part of it. Though that's kind of a separate thing, and I think Jimmy brought up some good points last meeting. We want to make sure that we're, again, not overly intrusive, but let's pick our sample carefully. Let's and then provide some very outline testing so that whoever's being tested is going to know exactly what they're getting without any surprises. And then I guess there's a third bucket that we're really not addressing yet, and those are the ones who are operating here without a license. Neither one of those processes would capture, if they're not doing the upfront application, if they're not in our current list, we wouldn't know that, that's that one that had the $20 million one that didn't apply that year. And so those two would not catch that. So the other part of the revenue assurance is, taking an inventory on the island to see, hey, do all the big businesses actually have a license? That's a whole nother thing. So
Right.
I don't know if you got any comments, but I like where you're headed with this. Maybe for the next meeting, if we can get a copy of that laundry list of things, and then maybe discuss, so the process is, it sounds like you made a lot of headway there. And then on the, quote, the auditor, the testing, maybe we dive into that one a little bit deeper on what would be acceptable. And I know, Jimmy, you've got some comments on that. And then after we frame those two things up, maybe then we can bring it up to Ways and Means and see what they all think about it on.
Okay.
But
And-
that's good work.
Okay, and just correction from what we presented earlier. Well, we have some new data here too that we'll
Okay.
present at the Ways and Means, but just some corrections on, we initially said that business did not have a license. Well, they did. It was just reported under one business instead of two separate businesses. So that was a complete correction, and
Is that on
so-
the short-term rental side of it, or the?
that was on the short-term rentals. No, was that business license? I think that was business.
There was one-
It was business license.
Okay.
Where we said it was $20 million. They reported, but they reported as one business instead of two separate businesses.
So no impact to the city except maybe the base fee or something, but the revenues are all together. Okay.
Yes, all the revenues there. So there's
So-
still some variances in what was reported year over year.
Will that add 20 million back to the revenue side of it, or no?
No, it was
So
was
we still
already
have the gap.
captured. It was, yes, there's still a gap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're still trying to figure out what, if we can truly define the gap. It looks like there was just not as much business as there was the previous year. But we're trying to, see,
And we can see who had licenses last year and who didn't
Versus,
have
right.
licenses
And
this
the-
year.
yeah.
And those deltas would be pretty easy to isolate.
so that's still a work in progress. We're still working
There'll
on
be
it.
more at their Ways and Means, you think?
Yes.
And then what about, and I don't know if you made any progress on the short-term rental license difference?
We ran the reports in a different way, so yes, there was some headway on that as well. So
Should we wait-
Previously-
should we wait till the Ways and Means?
We should, but previously.
We can do that. I don't wanna- I
Yeah,
don't wanna-
previously, we were not, they were running reports differently than the way we were running reports, and so now we're all running reports based on the issue date, and so that kind of gets things a little bit closer to each other. Okay,
I've got a couple of comments.
yes, sir.
One of the items you mentioned was as far as verification data, the federal or state income tax returns was on your list.
Yes, that's on their list.
Who is they? Building department?
No, the company the city that we use to benchmark, the,
CPA firm?
no, it's another municipality.
It's
Okay.
Town of
Alright.
Kiowa. Town of Kiowa.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, now we know what we're talking about. Okay. So, if you know anything at all about taxes, you know that your in South Carolina, your state income tax starts, it starts with federal taxable income. A federal tax return starts with gross income, and that's what you all are trying to define, or see if they're in compliance with federal income tax laws. But they got down there state income tax, and that's totally not applicable because it starts out, the state starts out with federal taxable income, which is gross revenue minus cost of goods sales, and then all operating expenses, and then non-cash expenses like depreciation, amortization. So the state tax return wouldn't do any good at all. Secondly, there was a mention of procedures for applying for a business license the first year. The first year, it's been this way for a long, long time, is when you come in and apply for a business license for your first year, you estimate your gross revenues. There's nothing to audit. There's nothing to gain assurance from, because there's nothing. You're saying, I think I'm going to make $10,000. I tell my clients is, if you estimate high, then there's no refund. If you estimate low, then then the next year you'll pay on the actual revenues. And so I don't know how there's any way, what test you can use on a new business to make sure they're in compliance, because it's an unknown going forward. I worked with the building department a couple of years ago about the various tax returns and we ran into a lot of problems, if you remember. So this has not been, it's not the first time it's been tackled. It's like you can report Schedule C if all the revenue was based upon, Isle of Palms receipts, or you got a partnership return or 1065, but again, depends on what kind of business it is, or a corporate return or 1120S. And then on top of that, on all of those forms except Schedule C, rental real estate income, if you're talking about short-term rentals, goes on a completely different form, which is called an 8825. And so, good luck if there's anything that I can do to help you. I've been through this before. It was hard to get to the right tax forms to address what we were trying to accomplish. And so, that's a tricky, slippery slope when you start relying on tax returns. Sales tax returns is probably a really good source.
Right, because sales tax returns do break it down by municipalities. But also, sales tax return only shows what is sales taxable, not
Right.
necessarily the full revenue. It's just what's
Well, if you're in a
sales
retail
taxable.
business or a restaurant or
Right.
whatever, everything's subject to sales tax.
Right, but that's
been
just for,
money you've used in the past. You just add up 12 months, see if that equals to gross revenue.
right.
But it's
Yeah, but
Make
if
a
there's
profit, but,
a service, if there's a service that sells something that's taxable,
Service income is not subject to sales tax.
right, so it won't show up on the sales tax return. Yeah.
I think
So there's
that's why
a,
they have the line.
yeah, that's, exactly.
Would it be possible, it sounds like they've got this in place, they've been using it for a long time? It seems to be-
Not quite long, about 2 years.
Yeah, it's
2
work-
years.
It seems to be working.
Yeah.
Is there a procedure that goes along, or the form, the business license form that they have that, I'm wondering if we could maybe have samples of that
Yeah.
at the next,
Yeah,
if they built it, maybe we can,
Yeah, we need to just study it a little bit more,
Sure.
but yeah, well, that's our plan, is to kind of get all of this information together, be sure that it works not only for kind of us, but we fully understand it. There is the need for us to kind of thread the needle of time, managing and understanding the time requirements on the staff that will have to be processing these. It already stretches them for the season to just issue the new licenses. So we would want to understand if there would be a need to staff up, maybe even just temporarily, through the renewal season to get it into play.
do they have an automated system? I wonder, I mean, maybe we can automate it.
It is an online system, but it is not what I would call automated. Yeah.
So you're talking about doing this in-house, obviously.
Yes.
We'd like to know what the cost is.
Yeah. So that's
Staff time. We need to weigh the cost versus the benefit.
yeah. That is what we will need to, what we plan to work on between now and your next meeting. Kind of fully understand the ripple effect of putting this into place on the staff, and we'll report that back at your next meeting.
And also, I know the council will not approve of it, but we need, I would like to see us look at the human factor. You know, an audit is about as popular as an earthquake. So we need to be careful going forward how we do this, not like we're trying to beat people up.
Are you talking about the process or the audit part?
Well, you know, just say audit somebody, see what kind of reaction you get.
Well, we really, I mean, not trying to audit, we're just trying to get, the proper calculation, just making sure that we are able to get the correct numbers for reported gross
understand.
revenue.
I understand. I just want to make sure that we're careful. That's all. Have the right procedures in place.
Okay. Anything else on this one for now? Update on the risk management and insurance review. There's a lot of information in here. Could you give us a walkthrough, please?
Help me,
Deborah,
help me.
high level first. Let's go
High level.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have the sheet in front of me. Josh, do you have
Yeah, is it
the
worth starting
summary?
on that last
The
one?
summary
Yeah.
sheet? Yeah, can you put the summary sheet up first?
Yeah.
So the city has multiple insurance bills that we pay. I don't know what page.
It's at the very end of all of that.
Yeah, it's like,
There's a small print Excel sheet, and then, keep going.
I think it's 69.
yeah,
Yeah.
this one, yeah. This one, is this one?
Yeah.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
There we
Okay,
go.
Yeah,
so
here we
what
are.
I don't know if we
this,
can blow that up.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
what this shows us is, it shows us the different components of insurance that the city has, and this is as of the date that we ran it. That doesn't necessarily mean that we've captured everything for FY26, but as of that date, this is what it was. It's $1.4 million in insurance costs. This includes, our workers' comp, our liability insurance, our health insurance, the insurance that we pay for our medical physicians at the fire department. It's everything. And it also, the numbers that are in red are what the employees contributed or what council contributes towards insurance. So those are negatives because either someone is paying a portion of it or we're getting a credit for it.
Would that pretty much match up with the PIBA health insurance and a couple of the employee insurances would match up to the employee contribution for the most part? Like medical and workers' comp.
I mean, the city does pay, the city does pay some of it, but yeah, there's some offset by the employees' contributions. So that's the overview of it. And what we have currently or have done within the last month is we started pruning some of the insurance costs that we could prune. And that has generated a savings of $19,000, around $19,000. We went through the current, because it's time to renew our insurance. We went through the invoice and we cut some of the premiums that we either are things that were on the bill that we felt like there was no need to keep carrying insurance on those.
Is that the ones that
Because
said delete on there? And
Yes.
those are all the deletions?
all the deletions. So we went through line by line and we cut everything that we possibly could cut. With, of course, there's, some more, this is just one bill. So this is just one, this is our liability bill. This is everything that we could cut on the liability bill. If we take a closer look at it, there's probably more that we could cut, but this was the first round of one of the insurance bills. This is the bill that insures our buildings, our vehicles, any of the marina stuff, or in the marina, they pay for their insurance, but any of our marine equipment, our jet skis, our boats, fire trucks, all that stuff. Right now, we currently are paying about $300,000 in just to insure our buildings. One of the conversations that staff is having is that could there be a cost savings there? The insurance company did an appraisal about a year ago to determine what the values of our buildings were, and so they set our premiums based on those appraised values, as well as contents of the buildings. We can go and look at our contents and see if there's some savings there, or if we are covering enough, or if we are underinsured or overinsured on our contents of our buildings. So this is just one of the policies. Again, you saw there are like 10 policies.
You said it's ready to renew. Is that soon, or?
This one, this
And is
policy.
Is this the South Carolina, is this the Municipal Association one?
This is, yes, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it renews in January. But if, another thing that we can do on these that we have talked about but haven't brought it to council is changing the deductible. Our current deductible is $5,000. We saw some sheets where if we change it, we saw some savings there. I think we presented that last meeting. So there are some savings there. If we change the deductible, I think we have one opportunity to do that, and that's in January. So we need to, I guess, make a decision on that.
Do we have a broker or representative with this municipal?
Yes.
Is that, I mean, would it be worthwhile just having them come to one of our meetings and having a conversation with them about
They
this?
said that they could do it Zoom. They
Okay,
could-
that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've asked them to do that. We just need to schedule a time, but we have asked them to
Maybe at the
join
next
us for one
meeting?
of the
Yeah.
meetings. Okay.
Could they come to
Yeah.
the next meeting? And that would be very helpful, because I think if we can ask, maybe we can ask them to do some of the legwork that we're talking about, instead of having this all fall on, your staff's back, because this is great. This is a great start. But, maybe there are some things deductible wise. And, are we sort of a one size fits all, where if we've got a vehicle that's 10 years old, I don't know about you, but if I have a 10-year-old vehicle, I'd probably drop my collision on it because it's not worth anything. And I don't know, if you know, we've got a lot of valuation on these sheets, but we really don't have what's the renewal, what's the replacement value, all that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if we might be able to, maybe the agent can give us some insights that we don't have on this. Is that something
Yeah, it
y'all be
seems like-
interested in doing?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
maybe they can
That'd
do
be
some of
great.
this legwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, all of the vehicles that are on this coverage, under this coverage, have both liability and collision, so it's fully,
Like
Fully.
Robert's old, if he's got a 50-year-old garbage
Yep.
truck that we learned about this morning, you know, do we want to be
That's split,
covering?
one split in half is fully insured.
Do we really want to be paying,
Yeah.
you know, those might be some big ticket items that could help us call the, you call it pruning or grooming, I call it
Yeah.
grooming, but yeah, we might be able to get some more benefits there. This is good stuff.
That's great. Now that I know what these sheets mean.
But that sheet with the 1.4 million on it, that's a
Yeah.
lot of,
It's a lot of insurance,
yeah,
yes.
we got a
Yeah,
lot of
it is.
insurance. It's good to see it like this. Well, maybe we kind of bite this one off first and see what we can go after on this particular one for optimizing it. I don't know, is that okay with you, Douglas?
Sure.
Yes.
So if we're to read these sheets inside the packet, the deletes were the ones you all took off?
Yes.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
That's already been done.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And there's still some opportunity to, you know, for some things on there to be self-insured. So there's still some room
That's another good yeah.
to cut some things.
Thank you. Anything else on this one for
Yeah,
now?
that's good.
Okay, discussion and consideration of bids for codification of the city code.
Yeah, in your packets, a memo, we unfortunately only got one bid, and it is from the provider, the current company that hosts our code online, MuniCode, but their parent company is Civic Plus. In talking to Sean a little bit about this morning, I think he felt like the reason we got one bid is because we did not necessarily tie hosting the code on a different site. The way we wrote it was really just for the recodification services only. And I think several reached out to you and said, you know, this is just to do the work. We really would like the
Well,
hosting.
they want the
hosting
hosting.
portion of the work, which just isn't the way that we formatted the RFP. So we have two options. Obviously, we could go with the company that gave us the quote. They are the current company that hosts the code online, or we could rewrite it to be hosting and the recodification service and see if we get other interest. I think at the end of the day, there's really probably two, maybe three other companies that would do this at kind of the national scale that I didn't know if other companies would come out of the woodwork that just do the recodification. That did not happen. So it's really kind of looks like it's stick with the provider that we have them recodify it, or entertain the idea of switching all of it out.
I'm open to, I think we thought that there might be some other capabilities with some of the other companies that our current one, like on the search capabilities and the speed of updates and things of that nature, that it might be worth exploring. And I'm nothing against our current provider, but if it isn't a whole lot of trouble, it sounds like you got interest, but there was already a barrier to entry.
I think so.
So, I'd be open to resubmitting it out. I don't think that this isn't of an urgent nature. If that's kind of the direction are you okay with that?
Yeah.
It's up to
Yeah.
one of the rest of the
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, we're happy to do that. It's more time, as you pointed
Yeah,
out.
See what we get.
Yeah. So we'll just
Okay.
delay, put it back out, and maybe, so it may be on your October
Okay.
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, miscellaneous, next meeting, September 1. Everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, if there's no further business,
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah, thank
Thank you, Douglas.